Nahi magazine
for the blind.
So today we'll be covering our last lesson for this level, and you'll be learning all about defining relative clauses. Let's begin. Okay then, first, what is a clause? Let's first define a clause. A clause is a group of words containing a subject and a verb which form a sentence or part of a sentence. I'll give you an example to demonstrate. He can't cook very well, but he makes quite good pancakes. As you notice, each clause in our example sentences starts with a subject. He can't cook. He, this is the subject of the first clause, and he makes quite good pancakes. So he is the second, or is the subject of this second clause. So each clause starts with a subject, same subject for each clause. Whereas a relative clause begins with a relative pronoun. So relative pronouns are words like who, which, that, whose, when, whom, where, and why. For instance, the man who was running fast is a thief. The man who was running fast is a thief. So here the sentence has, or the clause starts with, after, the man, okay? After the noun man, the clause, the relative clause starts with a relative pronoun, who. So, in fact, we have in English two types of relative clause, defining and non-defining clauses or relative clauses. And in this lesson, we'll be focusing more on defining clauses. I'll throw something into the lesson about the non-defining clauses just to help you make the difference, tell the difference between a defining and a non-defining clause. But the focus of today's lesson, the emphasis will be all on defining relative clauses. So, what is a defining relative clause? Sorry, what is a defining relative clause? A defining relative clause gives us essential information we need to understand the person or the thing. Okay, so what or who being referred to. I'm going to repeat this once more. A relative clause gives us essential information we need to understand what, this means something, or who, somebody, is being referred to, okay? To understand what or who is being referred to. And usually a defining relative clause comes immediately after the noun it describes. It's time to look closely at an example. The dentist who treated you is my uncle. So, can you show me the relative clause in this sentence? The dentist who treated you is my uncle.
Who?
This is the relative pronoun. I said the relative clause.
Okay, can you repeat again?
The dentist who treated you is my uncle. My uncle.
I think my uncle, isn't it?
My
I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. Abdelaziz, yes. How do you call him?
The dentist.
The dentist is the relative clause.
Well,
And I said, as I defined a defining relative clause, before I defined a relative clause or a defining relative clause, I gave a general definition to what a clause means in English. And a clause is a group of
subject and
words
verb. Yeah.
put together containing a subject and a verb to form a sentence. So a clause is a sentence, as simple as that. Okay? Then, when I defined a defining relative clause, I said a defining relative clause gives essential important information about the person or the thing being described or referred to. So, I'm going to repeat the sentence once again. The dentist who treated you is my uncle. And I even talked about relative pronouns because a relative clause takes a relative pronoun, begins with a relative pronoun. And relative pronouns are those words like who, whose, whom, when, which, where, and why. So a relative clause starts with a relative pronoun, subject, verb, rest of the clause or sentence. Or relative pronoun, verb, rest of the sentence. Depends. If the relative clause is referring to the subject in a sentence, then what comes after the relative pronoun is the verb. If the relative clause is describing the object in the sentence, then what follows the relative pronoun is subject plus verb, the rest of the clause or sentence. Got it?
Yeah.
I'm gonna repeat the sentence for the third time and try to focus on the elements of the sentence, the components of the sentence, and try to point the relative clause out to me. The dentist who treated you is my uncle. If a clause starts with subject, a relative clause starts with a relative pronoun. So I'm giving you a hint here to help you identify the relative clause. If a normal clause starts with a subject, like the one we saw at the very beginning of the lesson, he can't cook very well, but he makes quite good pancakes. So these two sentences are clauses, two main clauses. The first starts with the subject, he. The second starts with the subject, he. Okay? We call this a clause or clauses. What makes a clause like he can't cook very well different to a clause like the dentist who treated you is my uncle? Okay, the clause who treated you is my uncle is the word that each clause begins with. A clause like he can't cook very well starts with the subject, and a relative clause like who treated you was or is, okay, who treated you is my uncle, begins with a relative pronoun. Is it clear now?
Very clear.
So, Shajan, show me what is the relative clause in the sentence, the dentist who treated you is my uncle. Show me the relative clause in this sentence, Shajan.
Who treated you? I don't know, but you say the relative clause started with a relative pronoun.
Yeah, right. Indeed, yep.
So the relative pronoun is the dentist, I think.
No, she has just said it, Shajan. Who treated you is my uncle. This is the relative clause. A clause
Yes.
is not only a word. It's not one word only.
Is the
Abdul
sentence. I
Aziz,
understand.
you are giving me two words, a noun phrase. We call this a noun phrase. Article plus noun. Okay? Is there any verb in the noun phrase, the dentist? Abdul Aziz?
No.
No. So, the dentist couldn't be a relative clause or a clause, because a clause basically has a subject and a verb. It's a sentence. A clause forms a sentence. Subject, verb, blah, blah, blah. The rest of the sentence. Abdulaziz, got it? Not really.
So yeah, just like explain the sentence, so I'm gonna get it. The dentist who treat.
Yeah, I'm gonna explain it, sure.
Okay.
So, the dentist who treated you is my uncle. So, this sentence has a relative clause. Okay, not a clause, but a relative clause. Why a relative clause? Because it contains a relative pronoun. What is the relative pronoun that this sentence or clause has is the word who. Aha, that's it.
Yeah.
And what comes after who, which we call in English a relative pronoun, is a relative clause. Treated, you have the verb, okay?
Yeah.
You is my uncle. So this is the relative clause for the sentence. And this is not, the type of this relative clause is a defining relative clause. Why do we call it defining? Simply because it defines the noun that comes before it. The dentist. It is making reference to the dentist. It's giving us information about the dentist. So let's imagine if we removed the relative clause, who treated you is my uncle, we wouldn't know which dentist we are talking about, we are referring to. You see? So the relative clause, who treated you is my uncle, is defining the dentist. I'm talking about that specific dentist. Is it clear for everyone?
Yes, it's clear.
Yes.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it basically means that my uncle is the dentist. Like it explains that.
Yeah, exactly. It defines.
Relative clause here, it's who treated you. It's is my uncle here a relative now?
No, who treated you is my uncle. This, we call this sentence, all these
Relative.
words compose the relative clause. The relative clause starts from the word who, the relative pronoun, till the end.
Okay.
Then I said that the relative clause comes immediately after the noun it describes. You see, the dentist, straight after it, we get the relative clause. Who treated you is my uncle. I'll give you another example. This is the phone which I bought yesterday. This is the phone which I bought
Can I?
yesterday.
Yeah, which I bought.
which I bought yesterday. What is it?
It's a relative clause.
It's a relative, not relative. Everybody, I'm talking to everybody. This is the phone which I bought yesterday. What this relative clause which I bought yesterday describes?
The phone.
Exactly, great. So it comes immediately after the phone, and phone is a noun in English. So a relative clause usually comes immediately after the noun it describes or it refers to. Is it clear up to now?
Yeah, clear.
Yes, it is.
Yes, clear.
So a defining clause gives essential, important information about something or somebody. Okay? On the other hand, a non-defining relative clause gives extra information. Okay? So, if we remove a non-defining clause, it's no problem. Okay? We would know which person, which thing we are talking about. It's not like a defining clause. If we don't have a defining clause, we can't know which person in particular, which thing in particular we are talking about, we are referring to. However, a non-defining clause, or relative clause to be specific, is the clause that gives us information, but extra. Extra here is a key word, extra information. So, example, my father is the teacher who works at the same school as you. Where's the relative clause in this sentence? My father is the teacher who works at the same school as you.
Yeah. Can I?
Absolutely.
Who works at the school?
At the same school as you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. And which type of relative clause is it? It is a defining clause or a non-defining clause?
No, defining.
Defining.
Yeah.
It explains about my father, which is a teacher.
But it gives extra information. So
Yeah,
I know your father is a teacher.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it gives us another
My father is
information.
already, defined.
Yeah.
Aziz, what do you want to say?
The extra information is like it's showing us that he is working at the same school.
Exactly, but I know about
So that is non-defining.
profession. Exactly, yeah. Shirin,
Hmm?
this is extra information. It adds more detail to the word teacher. My father is a teacher. This is great. Okay? But if I want to add some extra information, I can say my father is the teacher who works at the same school as you. Okay, when I say my father is a teacher, this basically means that it's obvious that a teacher works at a school or a uni. Okay?
Yeah. But if you don't specify the information, we don't know which school or university does he teach in.
If you say the teacher who works at the same school as you is my father, this is another story. You can't remove who works at the same school as you is my father. Because if you say the teacher and add nothing. Shirin.
Yeah.
The sentence first sentence that uses a non-defining clause. Sentence says, my father is the teacher who works at the same school as you. I'll give you the very same sentence, but just I'm going to change the non-defining clause, relative clause, to a defining relative clause. The teacher who works at the same school as you is my father. Can you spot the difference between a non-defining and a defining clause? Shirin.
Yeah, there is different.
When I say the teacher, the teacher and say nothing after the teacher, you still need some important information.
Yeah,
to
of course.
define the
We
teacher.
can't understand.
The relative clause, it's like an identity card to the thing or person we are talking about. Brief one, okay?
Yeah.
If, Shirin, I'll give you an example that is related to the real life to make you understand it better. And for everyone who still have a problem with this point. Shirin, you've got an identity card, ID card, haven't you?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So if your name, Shirin, is the only information your ID card contains, do you think this is enough about you? So Shirin, and this is your ID card. There are a million Shirins in the world.
Yeah.
I can't tell which Shirin this card is describing or belongs to. It can be to Shirin, the English teacher on YouTube. By the way, there's yeah. So I have to add some detailed information to help me, some essential information to help me understand which Shirin this card is or belongs to. So, Shirin, then your last name, date and place of birth, okay, address. Okay, Shirin?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so the defining relative clause does the very same job. It defines the thing or the person you are talking about. If I say the car and add nothing, which car? My car, our neighbor's car. There are loads of cars in the world. Which one you are talking about? So the car which hit me, for example. Okay, so now I'm starting to identify, defining which car I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, Shirin, I need this information.
Yeah,
I
okay.
can't drop it. I can't remove it. If I remove it, I won't be able to understand which person, which thing you are describing. But a non-defining relative clause is like a passport. Okay, you have an ID card and you have in your pocket, or in your purse, you have both the ID card and the passport, and both include the same information. Okay, maybe the passport can have, some additional information if you travel and use your, if you travel and used your passport, so you will have kind of information about the place you've been to, okay? But
okay,
this additional information, it's extra information, okay? because you are already identified in your ID card. When I look at your ID card, okay, I can know that you are Shireen, you live, I don't know, in X place, okay? You are Y height, etc. And the information, the additional information I find on the passport, it's okay. Even I don't know about them, so no biggie, no problem. It doesn't affect my understanding of the person I'm trying to talk about or I'm trying to describe. Is it clear to everyone?
Miss,
Yeah?
can you like put that example, the car which hit me, into a defining and non-defining clause?
Yeah, you can.
So can you give us like two different sentences, so that
Okay. You can say as a defining clause, the car that hit me is red. Here, this is the defining, that hit me is the defining clause. Why the defining clause? It defines the car. It refers to that specific car. Which car exactly you are talking about? The car that hits you or hit you. Sorry. Okay, Abdulaziz?
Okay.
Okay, the red car of my next door's neighbor, which hit me.
Okay.
Okay, so now you know that the car is red and it belongs to your neighbor. So kind of identifying or defining the car is defined. You have essential information about it. That hit me, so this is extra information. You can add it, you can remove it. But you know, basically, you know which car you are talking about and to whom it belongs.
Yeah.
So the car that hit me is red. Okay. And you can take the sentence, you can say it either way. The red car of my neighbor that hit me or which hit me. So the car is identified. Like you, Abdulaziz. Your name is Abdulaziz, your last name. Okay? So you are identified to people. People can recognize you. But if you want to give extra information about your height, your physical appearance, your personality, that would be just extra information. For example, when you joined this course first time, all I needed to know about you is your name, first name, and maybe last name. That's it. And yeah, the other information, it was just extra. So because during the course, throughout the course, I'm not going to call you, for example, 24, referring to your age, or Kurdistan, referring to your place, okay, or history, referring to your major. Basically, I need your name to call you Abdulaziz whenever I want you to answer something or to do something.
Yeah, because it is required for knowing me.
Yeah. So this is the function of a defining clause. So you have to understand a defining clause because you are not concerned with a non-defining clause. I just added this little information to make you spot and tell the difference between the two, a defining and a non-defining clause. Did you get it?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
The others?
Okay, Miss, just I have the question, not question, but if you gave, okay, in the sentence, if you gave me extra information, it's undefined clause or defined clause?
None. Extra
None.
information,
Okay.
none.
Okay. Just I want this.
And
everything.
defining gives essential information, important, necessary
Okay.
information.
Okay. Got
Okay,
it.
thank you.
Thanks.
Now, you have to note, guys, that which is used for things, okay, for things. Example, winter is the season which I like the most. You see, winter is something. So, if we use a defining relative clause to, describe winter, we should use the relative pronoun which. Winter is the season which, season, okay, is the season which I like the most. So can you show me where's the relative clause? Yes, Abdelaziz, in this sentence.
The winter, can you repeat the example? The winter?
Winter is the season which I like the most.
Which I like the most.
What does it describe?
Describes the winter, like winter.
Which word exactly? Winter is the season which I like the most.
So what's the, like? What do you mean by which word? What does it describe?
Yeah.
It describe my like prefer season.
Yeah, season. It describes season because I said a relative clause is usually placed after the noun that it describes. Okay, good.
Yeah.
And who, the relative pronoun who, we use it for people. Okay, like in the previous example, the dentist who treated you is my uncle. Dentist is a person, so the relative pronoun should be who. Which for things, who for people, and that for both people and things. So, winter is the season that I like the most. The dentist that treated you is my uncle. Use that for both people and things. Which for things only, and who for people only. Is this point okay? Does it make sense?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And we're left with one more thing. I'm gonna give you two examples or example sentences and try to spot the difference between these two sentences if there's any. Sentence number one, that woman is the doctor who saw me yesterday. That woman is the doctor who saw me yesterday. Second sentence, that woman is the doctor who I saw yesterday. That woman is the doctor who I saw yesterday. What do you think? What you've noticed?
Oh, I'm not sure, but I'll tell you what.
Give it a try. Yeah.
Yeah. The first one is non-defining. What? Clause? Yeah.
Defining clauses.
So I'll stop here, I think.
No. Open your ears, everybody. That woman is the doctor who saw me yesterday. That woman is the doctor who I saw yesterday.
Miss.
Yes.
I noticed another silly thing.
Nothing.
Okay. You know what? In the first, you are using I saw yesterday. Sorry, the second one. And the first one was what? Saw me yesterday. So
The first one, yes, the others. Wakey, wakey, sleepyheads.
wakey, wakey, please.
Eggs and bakey.
Miss, can you repeat the sentence?
wakey, wakey, wallah.
Only one person. Abdulaziz,
No,
wake up.
I listened to one sentence. That doctor,
Sentence number 1. That woman is the doctor who saw me yesterday. Second sentence. That woman is the doctor who I saw yesterday.
Miss,
Yeah?
Same.
in the first sentence, you see her. In the second question, she see you.
Yes.
Your question.
What?
Like, what do you need like to give you?
What did you notice? What have you noticed? The difference.
Just in the one sentence, I saw her, and the second one, she saw me.
In the first sentence, that woman is a doctor who saw me yesterday. There's no subject. There's no pronoun, personal pronoun, I, you. Who, then right after, saw, the verb. The second sentence, that woman is a doctor who I saw yesterday. Here I use. So, why in the first sentence we don't have I, and in the second we have? Simply because in the first sentence, the relative clause is referring to the subject. Okay? The doctor saw me yesterday. Okay? But in the second sentence, that woman is a doctor, or the doctor who I saw yesterday. Why do I use I here? Because the relative clause in this sentence is referring to the object of the sentence. If I replace this relative clause with a normal clause, who I saw yesterday, this is a relative clause. If I replace it with a normal clause, then I get, I saw a doctor yesterday. You see, doctor, here the object. I saw whom? I saw a doctor. So doctor is an object. Depends. I'll give you a hack, a quick hack to help you tell whether the relative clause is referring back to the subject or the object of a sentence. If you get the verb straight after the relative clause, then the relative clause is referring to the subject in the sentence. If you get a subject pronoun, which means I, you, he, she, it, we, you, they, one of them, then the relative clause is referring back to the object of the sentence. Is it clear?
Yeah, thank you for that trick.
Okay, no worries. And sometimes people can replace who with whom. That woman is the doctor whom I saw yesterday. You see? And whom always refers to the object. Okay?
Yeah.
If you have a sentence that uses a relative clause that talks about, refers to the object of the sentence, so you can replace who with whom. So the second sentence we can. The second sentence with who? That woman is the doctor who I saw yesterday. You can say it either way using whom. That woman is the doctor whom I saw yesterday. Does it make any sense?
Yes, it does.
Yeah.
Shajan, Jilan, Susie.
Yes.
That's it about today's lesson, and this is the last lesson. If you have any questions, then go straight ahead.
I don't.
I don't have anyways. And thanks.
Yeah, my pleasure. Okay, time for the exercise. Ready?
Ready.
Ready?
The others, wakey wakey, eggs and bakey.
Today I'm
Yeah.
here.
The exercise is a bit different, slightly different. I think you will enjoy it. I'm going to give you some keywords, okay? I'm going to say some keywords and you have to make them into sentences using a defining relative clause.
Okay.
Okay? First one is for all of you. The quickest will have a shout out.
Yeah.
Okay. You have Robin Hood. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Stole.
Mm-hmm.
And
Robin Hood stole.
Yeah, these are keywords. You have to put these keywords together into a sentence that uses a relative clause.
Uh-huh. The Robin Hood
But
stole.
Miss, just I have question. Yeah, Miss, we have to put these in sentence or one of them in the sentence.
Okay, I'll do one
Okay.
for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. For example, if I say phone, call, device, each other. These are the keywords. So the phone is the device that we use to call each other.
Got it.
Robin Hood stole the rich to help the poor. And you have Guy as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really bad at this.
Robin Hood is the guy who stole the rich from the rich to help the poor. You have Cain, white, okay. You have blind, okay. And
should we?
And what?
Mr. Ruqayya, can we change the order?
Yeah. I'm giving you just the keywords at a random order.
The Cain, white. Then
you have white, Cain, tool, the blind, and use.
The Cain
is the tool which blind use.
The white cane is a tool which the blind use. Perfect.
Yeah.
That's it.
Well done. Well done, Abdulaziz.
You have my nephew, called, and the boy.
The boy who called you is my nephew.
The others, a shout out.
Yeah, well done.
You see?
Well done.
Okay. I think you all know this. You have Leonardo DiCaprio actor
Okay.
played Jack Titanic.
The actor who played Jack True is or Titanic is the Jack.
No, you have Jack. You have in the Titanic played actor and Leonardo.
Leonardo is the actor who played
The others.
Which played?
لأنه هو اللي يقول
Jack role in the Titanic.
Good. Leonardo DiCaprio is the actor who played Jack in the Titanic. Well done, Abdulaziz.
Yeah, well done.
Well done.
Thank you.
That's it.